students, welcome to class and congratulations and happy Vegan Declaration Day to all of you who have decided that this is going to be the day that you finally stop paying for the rape, torture, confinement, sadness, kidnapping, and murder of innocent animals who never did a single thing wrong to you. Now today, we're looking at her. I don't know if she's vegan or not. I don't think so though, because I know that in one of her videos, she was promoting a product that contained some sort of animal product in it. But you know, it is possible that Lauren Chen, who is a political commentator, might not have really thought about veganism yet. And so we are here to try to shed some light on whatever she's talking about, which seems to be about freedom of speech, which yes, we're all about freedom of speech. We are all about being against the cancel culture over here because we believe that the animals need a voice. And so we're going to be listening to her presentation. Now, I have a notepad here and I wrote her name on here. So you guys can do the same, and don't forget to take pictures of your notepads and send it to me. Remember, when she says something that we like, we're going to put a check mark, and that goes like this, check mark. And if she says something we don't like, we're going to put an X. So an X for wrong and a check for right. Now let's see what she does. Now, of course, she's an automatic fail if she shows any kind of animal products and talks about them in a positive way. If she shows an animal product and she says this is wrong, this is bad, she's going to get a great mark. But if she just remains neutral and doesn't talk about any animals at all, but talks about freedom of expression, she's going to get some check marks. So let's have a look at what she has to say today. Now the title, look at it. It says, college students shut down event opposed to trans kids. Now, that sounds very interesting. Do you know any trans people? Do you know any kids who are really young and think that they should be members of the opposite gender? What do you guys think about this whole situation? Write your ideas down in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Now, I know that there was a case of a 9-year-old once in the news who the mother thought that this child should transition, and the father said, no, I don't think so. And I think that the mother got custody, and I have a feeling that this is what that's about. Now, I don't know how you feel, but I don't think that at such a young age that we should be giving hormone blockers to kids and things like that. I mean, when they're older, when they're 18, they can decide for themselves. That's also how I feel about vegan foods. I think that children should be given vegan foods, only we should not be polluting their bodies with any kind of dead animals. And when they're old enough to decide, they can decide if they want to pay for the rape, torture, confinement, sadness, kidnapping, and murder of innocent animals. But when they're young, it's our job to take care of their bodies and to leave them clean, to leave them healthy, and to not put crap inside of them. So I am against putting chemicals into children. So let's have a look at what she says on the issue. All right? Okay, here we go.
Covered them here on this channel.
Oh, we missed the beginning. Hold on.
Hey, Lauren here. Let's talk about insufferable radical college students, because even though it's been a while since we covered them here on this channel, they are still very much a real problem.
Oh, I think I know what she's getting at. I've seen this when people are in college, and you know, college students are supposed to be adults, and then some of them start banging on the desks and screaming because they want their voices heard. So they say that they believe in freedom, but yet whoever's standing at the front cannot speak. So I am completely against this. I think if there's a teacher at the front of the classroom or a guest speaker, that everyone must be quiet. They can go outside and protest all that they want to, but going into a place where somebody's already speaking, that's disrupting free speech. That's my opinion. I don't know what hers is. Let's listen.
So this whole saga starts off with the story of Jeffrey Younger, who you guys might remember is the
so it is about the kid. Yes, that's who I was talking about.
Father that actually lost custody of his 9-year-old son after he disagreed with his wife's decision to let the son begin hormone blockers because the wife believed that his son was actually a trans girl. The two parents ended up going through this really long custody battle, and ultimately the judge did decide to side with the mother, who, from what I understand, had been convinced that the son was trans since he was 3. And
okay, so the little boy was 3 and he thought he should be a girl, and so he wanted to, I guess, start to not start to grow breasts when he got a little bit older. And so the mother was sticking up for his rights. That's what she thought. And the father was like, no, he's really too young. You know, children change. We don't want to start. It's like there's a rule, you know, you don't put tattoos on a child's body. They have to be old enough to make the decision for themselves. When a child is that young, they cannot tell. They don't know. They can change from one year to the next. So yeah, I would have to say that I side with the father in this case.
Now, the story made national and heck, even international headlines for obvious reasons. But what I think is one of the more shocking parts about it, not that it's not all just outrageous and unthinkable is the fact that this didn't happen in California or New York or heck, even Canada. No, this happened in Texas. Yeah,
Yes, that's where I live in Canada. And Lauren actually is from Canada as well. I don't know if she was born there, but right now she has moved down south and she is working for the Daily Wire, or at least working in sometimes not maybe not for them, but with them. I have seen her on the Candace show. I don't know if you know what that is, but so it's very interesting. She's living now in I'm not sure, one of the southern states, not Florida, somewhere near there.
because even though I'm like 99% sure that the majority of people in Texas would not support that judge's decision or the concept of putting a 9-year-old on hormone blockers, it turns out that in Texas, like in most parts of the Western world, left-wing activists have just been very good at getting themselves into positions of power. Before we get to it though, I do want to say a huge whopping thank you to today's sponsor.
Oh no, today's sponsor. Now this is the part that I always worry about. Now, of course, these people who are on YouTube need to make money somehow, although I have never yet been sponsored by a single company, but she's going to be talking about her sponsor. Now, here's what we're watching. If she's going to talk about a meat company or a dairy company sponsoring her, then she's going to get an automatic X. That's not okay. So let's see what kind of company is sponsoring her.
News. So if you're keeping up with this channel or
Wait,
independent media,
what did she call it? Something news? Wait, let's go back.
Good at getting themselves into positions of power. Before we get to it though, I do want to say a huge whopping thank you to today's sponsor, Ground News. So if you're keeping up with this channel,
I think she said Ground News,
or independent media in general, odds are it's because you know that the mainstream media, the establishment press, they are pretty dang biased, which, hey, okay, everybody is, but they like to pretend.
Oh, yes, check mark for her. She's saying that the establishment press is biased. She's absolutely right. And she's also admitting that everybody is biased. So 2 check marks for her. That's absolutely true. I mean, you can try to remain as unbiased as you want to, but the reality is you have your own life experiences and they affect things that you are going to be doing. So this, I have a feeling I know what this is going to be.
And that they're not. For example, in this video, we're going to be talking about the idea of children transitioning. Odds are the mainstream media is not going to cover this. Why? Because frankly, it just does not support their left-wing prejudices. And so frankly, it's just better if you, the general population, does not know about what's happening. Ground News is an app that makes it easy to swipe between headlines to see which details are emphasized or left out entirely when it comes to different stories. And you can also see which different outlets are choosing to cover or ignore stories.
Oh, okay, this is very interesting. This reminds me of a college course that I took when I used to go to John Abbott College. I took a comparative, like a news type course where you would watch the news on one channel and you'd watch the news on another and you would see how they are different. For example, one type of news thought that this kind of story is really important, like a snowstorm or something, and another news thought that more politics were more important. And so you would see which ones we're basically selling you the news. I mean, they are deciding for you what is important. So it's important for us to watch all different kinds of news outlets and to see what is really going on. What are they trying to not show us? Like if you own a news station and you don't want people to see what's going on in some part of the world, you're just going to show them some other thing to sort of distract them. So this is very good, Lauren.
It really is just a better way to read the news and to ensure that you are getting the facts of what's happening out there, not just someone's already editorialized opinions. With Ground News, you can do things like compare news coverage, spot media bias. You can also check your own blind spots or the blind spots of the news sites that you visit by seeing what things they might be leaving out that are happening in the world. You can also customize your feed and get recommended stories, and Ground News will even analyze what type of bias the news that you like to consume might be leading you towards.
Okay, this is all excellent. Always looking at all sides of each story, all sides of each opinion. It's really good. Thank you for pointing this out. I might check that out, Lauren.
So if you are looking for a better way to stay informed about current events that are happening around the world, check out ground.news/Chen to download the free app today, or you can also click the link below in the description. And so an update to this story that you guys might not be familiar with, I know I certainly wasn't before this whole college situation kind of exploded, is that now Jeffrey Younger is actually running for a seat in the Texas House.
So that's the dad? He's going to run for a seat in the Texas House. That's interesting.
Courthouse News reports. Jeffrey Younger of Flower Mound filed to run as a Republican in Texas House District 63 on November 23rd. He blames a pediatrician for incorrectly diagnosing his child, who goes by Luna, and claims the doctor planned to put him on chemical castration drugs when Luna turns 9. This is...
So when the child turns 9, so the child isn't even 9 yet, and chemical castration drugs. Oof, that's what he's claiming that the doctor wants to do. This is a little boy who thinks he's a girl.
Child abuse is every conservative knows, Younger says on his campaign website. Even the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services considers medical transitioning of children child abuse. But still, the Texas legislature hasn't acted. Texas is one of the nation's largest providers of sex change surgeries and chemical castration hormone treatments to children. So clearly this is a father who's been personally affected by the trans agenda, and I think he is absolutely doing the right thing in trying to enact actual change to ensure that this doesn't happen to other parents out there. And so since he is now running for the state legislature, Younger has, I guess, been doing kind of the publicity rounds trying to get his name out there. And one such event was actually at the University of North Texas in Denton. The event—
Okay, so I'm going to say here that I think that the dad is, who cares about his child and is worried that his child is going to make a life-changing decision that is very difficult to reverse. The dad cares about his child and thinks that it's crazy that his child is going to be given medication, chemicals that are going to stop his puberty. So I would say I would give a check mark to the dad for that. But remember, this is Lauren's presentation. So she's the one who gets the check marks or the X's. But I think it's good, Lauren, that you're bringing it up. And I think it's good that you are trying to see both sides of the issue. And I also think it's good that this dad is trying to make some real change by running for office instead of just giving up.
That happened this past week, and let's just say it was a contentious one. Predictably, some of the students, and from the looks of it, a large number of the students at the University of North Texas, do not support Younger's views regarding sex and children transitioning.
And that's okay if they don't want to support somebody's views. Everybody's allowed to have their own opinion, and to voice that opinion is great. But what's going to happen? She's saying that the students shut down an event. That I don't think I'm okay with.
Quite a number of them turned up at his talk, not to hear him out and understand his opinion better, but rather to shut down the conversation.
Okay, so that's not good. So they didn't go to just try to hear his opinion, to find out what exactly happened, why he, as a dad, felt so strongly about it, about, not wanting his child to go onto these hormone blockers and so on. But they just tried to yell at him? I don't know. Let's see.
Actually, footage of that happening ended up going viral on Twitter, and we have a clip of that here.
What? These cannot be university-aged people. How can this be? These look more like kindergarten children, smashing on the desks, having temper tantrums? How is this okay? If they want to voice their own opinions, they can go into another building and state how they feel. They can film themselves. They can put themselves on Twitter, on TikTok, wherever they want to. But this guy is in there trying to make a statement, trying to talk. And if we have a world where nobody can talk and everybody keeps cutting off everybody else, how can we possibly communicate with one another? This is absolutely ridiculous. If I was in charge of that school, which is a university, I would kick all of these kids out. This is disruption of the peace. And I'm not saying that they don't have a right to express what they want. They absolutely can. They can even go out and make their own signs, and they can make their own events. But to try to shut down somebody who's there to speak, who is a guest speaker, that's not okay. And I think you guys can all understand that. Imagine you are doing a school presentation. You worked really hard for your presentation. You're standing in front of the class, and everybody starts yelling, and you can't even show your presentation. How would you feel? It wouldn't be right. It's not polite, right?
So public discourse in the West has devolved to a point where now not wanting to lose custody of your child because you're not comfortable giving them hormone blockers at age 9 has become fascism. Disappointing stuff, but frankly, if you've been paying attention to the way that the Overton window has been shifting ever leftward for the past few years, this is not surprising. This is actually, this makes sense as the logical conclusion of where the left would go to next. And something I do want to point out there is that the older person at the front of the classroom who's kind of chanting along and clapping, some people originally thought that that was one of the professors or a teacher of the college taking part in the protest with the students. No, that's actually Mr. Younger himself. And I know at this point
Oh.
we are so used to seeing footage
Interesting.
of college students throwing tantrums, but I mean, really, let's think about it for a second. These aren't 10-year-olds or 13-year-olds or heck, even 16-year-olds. The majority of these students are probably going to be like, what, 19 or 20?
Excellent point. They should know better. Check mark. Good job, Lauren.
So the fact that they still think it's acceptable to have these public temper tantrums over someone expressing views you don't like, I think it is just a huge indictment of the current state of academia and just education in general, and yes, also parenting. Politics aside, it is just not acceptable for adults in a civilized world to behave like this. But
Absolutely. Check mark. I totally agree with you. And I noticed that also, many of you, maybe you don't know me, but I worked as a nurse for 25 years, and then I taught in the school system for 10 years, 9 years, and then 1 year online and now. But what I did notice in the school system is, there was a real lack of discipline. It was very difficult for any teacher to be able to speak properly because there were constant interruptions by children. It seemed like there was a culture of a lack of respect. Even the school principal would go and stand in front of in the gymnasium, and children would talk and yell, and even the school principal in certain schools could not be heard. That is how little they respected authority, and I'm not okay with that. How can you have a school running when you have a bunch of 5-year-olds, 10-year-olds, and 15-year-olds who think that they have an ability and that it's okay to cut off their teachers and their principals? No. Do we want to teach children to express themselves? Yes. Do we want them to be strong and able to not be afraid to stand up when there's an injustice? Yes, of course we do. That's why we want animal rights activists out there to defend the animals. But we are talking here about just being civilized in a classroom or in a place where somebody is giving a lecture, something like that. We have to draw the line somewhere, or nobody will ever be able to speak. Think about it. Anytime a teacher is standing in front of a classroom, there will always be, let's say, a classroom of 30 people. There will always be 1 or 2 who disagree with that person. Now, if this person constantly interrupts, yells out things instead of raising their hand and waiting their turn, how will we ever be able to teach anything? We won't. So thank you, Lauren, for pointing all this out.
It's become so normalized on college campuses, and this has happened so quickly too. I mean, I graduated from college how many years ago? 6, 7 years ago, and I could not imagine back when I was in school, students doing something like this. I mean, I was in Young Republicans when I was in college. We had events. Nothing like this ever happened. But the concepts of civility and dialectic have gone out the window so quickly that now it's like anytime a right-wing speaker does show up on campus and gets any type of publicity, you can almost guarantee that this is going to happen. And it's my understanding that these protesters were just so disruptive that eventually they did need to end the event early because, I mean, clearly you can't really hear the person talking when there's all this chanting going on. But we do actually have another video clip of the talk where Younger and the protesters go back and forth on the issue of pronouns.
She, he,
Oh my goodness, now we have one of them on the desk? Is this kindergarten? Now what is going on? This is the guy and he's talking about pronouns. I guess somebody wanted to be called he instead of she or she instead of he, and he is there saying, I don't agree. I look at you, you look like a female to me. I am going to call you she, and people are freaking out. Now, obviously, I think if somebody really identifies as female and they honestly, and they're not just doing it to be a pain in the ass, they say, hey, can you refer to me as she? I would do it. Why wouldn't I? It doesn't hurt me. But if you have a whole classroom of 30 different people with all 30 different pronouns, and it just becomes crazy. So I don't know what's going on here. I certainly know that standing on a desk when somebody's trying to speak is not okay. So I'm feeling a bit uncomfortable watching this, that's for sure. That person on the desk should have been kicked out. They're clearly doing it because they know that they are being filmed. They are trying to make a point about how brave and tough they are. We're talking here about pronouns. We're not talking about World War III, which is happening, or it could be possibly happening, starting right now between Russia and the Ukraine. How do these people not have their priorities straight?
Hey, police, I just got spit on.
What is that squeaking sound? Listen. What is that yellow thing that somebody's holding? Like, do they think this is a soccer game? A football game? This is university. How can this be going on? Completely unacceptable.
I got it, man. Sorry, man.
So he keeps saying ma'am, and that person who seems female is saying her, or something. I don't know what's going on. Oh, hi, Bella. My dog Bella just came in. Hi, sweetie pie. You want to come say hi? Come here. Come here. You come say hi? You want to come say hi? Yeah? Come here. Hi. This is Bella, by the way. She's been vegan since August 2017, and she thinks it's time to eat. It's not time to eat yet, Bella. You know what time it is? What time is it? It's only 3:30, so you have to wait, okay? You go and lie down, and it's going to be in about 15 minutes. All right, sweetie? Good girl, Bella. Okay, let's continue.
You're a woman. Listen, you actually believe that if someone disagrees with something, you can stand up and spit on them. That's how miseducated you are. Yeah.
So he's making the point of saying that, do you actually believe that if somebody disagrees with you, it's okay to stand on the desk and start yelling? And the kids, I call them kids, they probably say, oh no, we're adults, but I'd say, you're kids. You look like kids to me. I don't know. It just seems like very crazy behavior. And what is with this yellow thing in the corner there? Look at that. This thing is just making all these different noises.
All right, guys. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for showing the world what leftist politics really is. I'm very grateful to you. Thank you.
And this person comes out with a mask and comes and tries to take the mic out of the person's hand. Oh, this is...
I sometimes hear from these leftist trans activists that using proper pronouns is really important because it's a sign of respect, but it's like, what respect are these children showing to literally anybody? Absolutely none. So in my opinion, no. Youngers should be under no obligation whatsoever to indulge their delusions. You're interrupting this.
Exactly. You shouldn't be indulging their delusions. I agree.
This man, you are disturbing this event. You are spitting on him. You are being hostile to him, but you still expect him to
spit on him? I must have missed that. Oh my God.
Hold your hand and pretend that your identity is valid because... Why? Because your feelings matter when his clearly don't matter to you? It's just such a gross double standard. And again, these are legal adults that we are watching behave this way. They're acting like 5-year-olds. I mean, not even 5-year-olds. I've seen 5-year-olds who were so much better behaved, who would never think of spitting on somebody. And as bad and rowdy as things were in the actual event room itself, it turns out that things were even worse outside. We have some footage here of protesters who did not make it into the actual event room and who just kind of stayed outside. And this footage was collected by another YouTuber, Alex Stein, who I just want to clarify is not actually affiliated with the group that invited Mr. Younger onto campus. I believe the Young Conservatives of Texas is the group that invited him, and I just wanted to put that information out there because I'm not sure what other type of content Mr. Stein has done. And so just, I mean, no offense to him, but I don't want to turn this into a whole PewDiePie moment. So yeah, here's his footage.
There's a paper on the ground, officer. I understand, but there is the free speech portion of it with it. So, you guys are all losers!
Wow, it's a lot of people out there.
Everybody here is a loser!
I don't know if I could agree with that. They're outside now. Outside of the event it's okay to protest there. They're allowed to have signs. They're allowed to yell and be frustrated if they don't agree with the speaker. That's okay. At least they're not inside disrupting.
And an abuser! Loser! You guys want to cut children's fantasies off!
Oh my God. my goodness. You know, Russia is right now dropping bombs on the Ukraine, and this is what these people are finding important? That's just crazy. Leave children's bodies alone. It's the same as animals. Animals have the right to their body integrity, to not be cut up, to not be used as objects. This is a child, and a child, if they're 9 years old, they don't yet know what is best for them. They might want to eat candy all day. They might want to, run to school in bare feet instead of snow boots when it's cold out. Like, children just don't know what's best for them. So our job as the adults of society, and I don't mean these people, I mean actual adults, is to look at the global picture and to protect the innocent and protect the young. Protect trans kids. Protect trans kids. Now look, I have also seen some documentaries where I must admit that I look at a child who really thinks that they belong as a member of the opposite gender. And it is heart-wrenching. It is really gut-wrenching how much it upsets them. However, to start giving them chemicals or to do any kind of surgery, I am against that. If a boy wants to wear a pink dress and wants to have long hair, that's fine. If a girl wants to, whatever a boy looks like, wants to have short hair, whatever, these are exaggerated terms that I'm using. But whatever you want to wear, it's fine, unless you, of course, have a school uniform, which I think should be gender neutral anyway. But my point is that don't start giving kids chemicals or doing any kind of surgery. Don't cut people. Don't put tattoos on animals. Don't put tattoos on children. Let people live and let live. And when they're young, just if they want to express themselves that way and it's not hurting anybody, that's okay. But don't do anything permanently to them, because there are people who transition and then they regret it later. They deeply regret it and they feel terrible because then their whole body is, you can't just cut off somebody's penis, turn it into a vagina, and then turn it back around after. This is something that's complicated. It's dangerous surgery, and it is also it costs a lot of money, and it's very traumatizing. And I'm not saying that that's what they're doing with young ones here, but they're not doing surgery on them. But the fact is, they're saying protect trans kids, and a way to protect trans kids is to be very, very careful with what you do with them. Okay, they need love, and they need to be respected, and they need to be taught to love themselves as they are and not try to change all the time. Yes, protect them.
That guy's got spunk, but as funny as I personally find that little confrontation between him and those protesters,
I don't find it funny. I find it depressing and totally not funny. I don't know. I'm going to give you an X for that. Lauren, there's nothing funny about people that are acting like idiots, screaming, and another guy screaming back at them. Okay, look, no, I didn't say that right. Those people outside are not acting like idiots, but the guy in the tie at the top yelling at them and calling them losers, that's not funny. Okay? I don't agree.
It looks like things may have very well gotten potentially violent on campus that night. You see, it wasn't just Mr. Younger who was getting the ire of the protesters. One of the event organizers, a student named Kelly Neidert, she was also subjected to a lot of abuse and yes, even threats. As she posted on her personal social media account, a week after getting death threats and getting 17,000 signatures on a petition to expel me, I had an event where I had to be rushed out of the building for my safety.
Oh my gosh.
Antifa cut me off and I was forced to hide in a janitor closet with the lights off while Antifa searched for me. And then we also have footage of Kelly trying to make her way through the crowd with a police escort. Meanwhile, her fellow students are still hurling abuse at her.
Wow. That is just not okay. Oh my goodness, that is terrible. Imagine being so afraid for your life just because you want to voice your opinion on something. going on? Lauren is showing this for a long time. Maybe there's a reason.
So obviously the event with Mr. Younger elicited a very strong negative response from the college's left-wing students. And when talking to the post-millennial specifically about how this event ended up getting so much attention, Kelly pointed to the promotional flyers that she was printing and posting leading up to Mr. Younger's talk. As shown on the YCTUNT social media account, the posters say to criminalize child transitions.
Oh, okay.
And so I don't think it's a stretch to say that all of those college students who were upset and freaking out and calling Mr. Younger a fascist and even resorting to things like threats and trying to get Kelly expelled, they were doing so because these two had the audacity to say, we shouldn't be transitioning children. I mean, don't get me wrong. Anytime these purple-haired, pronoun-wearing weirdos show up, like odds are 99% they're going to be standing for some sort of crazy position.
Okay, no, Lauren, you cannot judge somebody by their hair. X. No. I totally disagree with that. What did she say? Pronoun people? Wait, let's get back to it.
Anytime these purple-haired, pronoun-wearing weirdos show up.
Pronoun wearing. How do you wear a pronoun? No, another X. Okay, I know what you're trying to say, that you're trying to label them all by the way they look, but that's almost like, it's almost as bad as being racist, like saying all these black people that show up, all these purple-haired people that show up. Come on. There are purple-haired people on either side. Anybody could have purple hair. I know people on the right who have purple hair. I know people on the left who have purple hair. And personally, I don't think that we should be manipulating our bodies even that much. I mean, just, we need to have people who are willing to be more natural and wear less makeup and allow their gray hair to be okay and their wrinkles to be okay. But for you to label all purple-haired people as being some fanatics, not okay, Lauren.
Like odds are 99% they're going to be standing for some sort of crazy position, whether that's calling Ben Shapiro an anti-Semite or Trump literally Hitler. It's not going to be a well thought out position. But the idea that in these left-wing progressive circles now children transitioning has become such a hill for them to die on, it's scary. It's shocking. And actually, we did another story.
Actually, I agree with you there that they are completely over-exaggerating about the subject, that their passions are really misdirected. There are so many problems in the world right now. People seem to have forgotten about what's happening with the environment. We have the war going on in Russia and Ukraine, but we still have the problem with the environment. So much pollution and so many animals are suffering. Lauren, are you ever going to talk about the animals here in this presentation? Ever? Now, maybe that's not your topic. But if you're talking about people who are oppressed and you're talking about people who are standing up for rights, you should, I hope, be siding with animal rights activists who are caring deeply about the victims. And I want you to consider seriously that the children that you are talking about protecting are no different than the animals that we are talking about protecting, in the sense that they are all sentient beings who feel. And we don't want to hurt anybody. We want to protect the vulnerable. So Lauren, I'm going to encourage you to stop eating meat, dairy, and eggs. I hope that you're going to do that. And by the way, I also hope that you're going to watch this short documentary. It is only 6 or 7 minutes long. I know your time is valuable. Please watch it. It will show you what happens to the animals around the world, because the chances are that you don't even know yet, because your whole world, Lauren, is around politics. And typically, and I could be wrong, maybe you do know, and maybe you're trying to be vegan, and that would be great. But typically, that what I have seen with people of your age and with people who are very much into just the political side of it, they're sort of in this like echo chamber and they don't look out. So I liked what you were saying about the app. Get the app, right? The one you just mentioned before. And I will put that in my phone and I'll have a look at it. Lauren, I will. Now I'm asking you as a favor to do this for me. Go and watch this. It's only 7 minutes long. Or this one. Well, first of all, I'm going to show them both at the same time because it depends on which one you want to see. You have 2 documentaries. One is called don'twatch.org and the other one is watchdominion.com to learn the truth about where your food comes from, Lauren. The chickens, there are twice as many of them on the planet, and they are being tortured. And I'm not exaggerating. It is horrific. And the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics has clearly stated, Lauren, that everyone can be vegan, even you. Children are born vegan because being vegan is about the animals. It's not about ourselves and it's not about food. And when children are born vegan, it's an ethical stance. They don't want to hurt animals. I believe that you are pregnant, or maybe you've had a baby or you're going to soon. So think about your child. Right now, when your child is born vegan. And I'm going to urge you to not feed your child ever any dead animals or their secretions. Allow your child, when he or she is older, to make up their own mind. Allow your child's body to be a garden and not a graveyard. It is absolutely possible, and you can Google it. Just Google healthy vegan kids. There are Facebook groups that teach you different recipes. It's important to give your child lentils and fresh fruits and vegetables. And of course, you can get tons of protein from things like chickpeas. Bread has protein, and there are 10,000 vegan foods to choose from. Your child does not need to have any meat or eggs or fish or milk from a cow. Choose soy milk or choose oat milk. Anyway, Lauren, I think I've seen enough of your presentation today. So I'm going to say that I would say that you pass, Lauren, but I would not say that you got the best grade because you did do a couple of things that upset me a little bit, but it's not terrible. So I'm going to let you pass your presentation. The next time I'd like you to be a little bit less, let's say exaggerate on things like the way a person looks, because you really cannot judge on that. With regard to your comment about people with purple hair and sort of lumping everybody together. But I also appreciate very much that you are trying to bring another aspect. I appreciate your channel. I have watched your channel, and I will continue. I have subscribed to it, and I hope that you will also subscribe to mine, Lauren, and I will look forward to doing another evaluation of a presentation that you bring to class. So thanks again. For those of you who are new here and don't yet know, please subscribe and press the notification bell on this channel, because by doing so, you will help me get the animals out of hell, the hell that we put them in on this planet. And what our goal here on this channel is to protect the animals, but in doing so, we have to educate people, and we're trying to educate all kinds of people, whether they are the most famous person in the world or your next door neighbor. We are trying to reach out to people who have, I'm trying to reach out to people who have accounts that are larger than mine to get them to think about these things and to watch, like I said, these important documentaries. So thank you very much. For those of you who'd like to follow me on Instagram, this is my Instagram address. I appreciate you all very much. So coming up on screen are a bunch of other videos. Click on them. Be curious. Follow That Vegan Teacher. I have also done different videos on somebody who I think is a colleague of Lauren's, who is Ben Shapiro. And I have done all kinds of different videos. I've evaluated children's TV shows. I have evaluated even PewDiePie, who she mentioned. I've done a lot of evaluating, and I look forward to seeing your comments. So write down some comments and let me see what you guys think of all this. I'm very curious. Bye for now. See you in the next video. Bye.